What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spartan Way podcast. We got a special guest here today, Mr. Ali Shahin, the current COO of Spartan Solar, unless he starts to suck. But he's the current COO of Spartan Solar. And I wanted to start this off, well, first of all, welcome. Pleasure to have you, brother. And I wanted to start this off just going over a little bit of Ali's current state. So Ali came here a little over a year and a couple months ago, starting a new division for Spartan Solar. It was just him, Sam, and one or two other guys. And very quickly, they became a 100-plus production division. So they started producing a ton of accounts. Very few companies even produce that amount. And they did that in a very short period of time. And within a year, became VP of sales. And then we figured out his skill set was much more suited toward more of a sales ops role, which we'll just call the COO, that bridge between sales and operation. And he's been extremely effective in this role because of his background and what he's done. And while he's done this, he's also installed around 100 accounts while doing everything else for the company level. So from my vantage point, from my perspective, he's one of the few people that can really do it all, that can sell at a high level, install at a high level, so good retention, can lead a very large team, can build a very large team, and can work effectively on systems, software, and tech that move the needle from the company's perspective. So has a ton of accolades, ton of accomplishments. And I wanted to start by showing that so you understand who you're dealing with here today, the Habibi, Ali Shahin. Habibi, I wanted you to give a second just to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so Ali Shahin, and my background actually started in just a regular engineering nerd. So I didn't grow up in the States. I grew up in Egypt, born and raised, middle school, high school, the whole thing. And then I had a point in life where we were kind of choosing where I'm heading to, what college, what degree I'm getting, and all that. And at that time,
Wait, take us back. Egypt.
Yeah.
We'll dive in section by section.
Okay.
What was your upbringing like? How long were you living in Egypt for, and what was that like? Because obviously most people have not experienced living in Egypt.
Yeah, 18 years.
We just think pyramids, right? That's very limited information.
Yeah. Hey man, sticks and stones. I rode camels to school. No, I'm just kidding. So 18 years exactly in Egypt. And then during these 18 years, it was a lot of sports, a lot of studying pretty much. Like my upbringing was all about you have technically one job, right? You're studying to build a career and you're playing sports. Initially started for health purposes, but then became more competitive as I climbed up there. But made it along the way in water polo, started from swimming. As I went through, it was kind of these things where family is engineers, so you're like, oh, well, that's all I know. Should I do that? Should I do, I wanted to go to dental school. And then a lot of details in the middle, right? So as I grew up, I watched my dad as an engineer, self-made completely, worked for Caterpillar actually when he started, mechanical engineer, and got tired of corporate. Went out on his own, went on his entrepreneurship journey, built a company from scratch. Kind of close story to yours where he had a partner, everything got fucked. Had to start again, restart from scratch as well. So I watched us as a family go from we had nothing to we had something, and then we had nothing again, and then he built it again into something big. And I was around a lot. He was the type of father that, wanted to expose me to as many opportunities as possible. And that made me to what shaped me up today, which is any opportunity to dabble in anything, I'll go fuck with it. I want to know it, I want to learn it, I want to play with it. If it has a button, I want to click it, I want to see what it does, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so that definitely, I would say, impacted me. I didn't realize this as much as I'm younger, but as I get older, people start pointing out stuff that I'm doing that he used to do and stuff like that. And I'm like, it makes sense. I guess we do absorb from what's around us, even if we don't know it. You just gotta self-reflect on it and understand what's happening. But anyways, so from that went into okay, I watched this guy do his thing. I started my own when I was 16. I remember we had something called QNet. It was a Ponzi scheme pretty much, but I had no idea. That was my first sales job. It was called QNet. So I was 16. I went in my dad. I was like, hey, in order to start working with this, I gotta first buy something. It's $1,000. And it was like dollars to Egyptian pounds is like, huge. I was like, and he was like, you sure you want to do that? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, here you go. So it was one of these things where like, he instilled in me the idea of like, if you want to go try and fail, it's fine. Like, go try it.
Okay.
But you got to try it once, and you got to learn.
He just wanted to see that you had some confidence in this.
Exactly.
Choice.
Yeah.
Even though you knew it was probably a bad choice.
Yeah.
Let him run with it.
He knew. And as I look back at it, like, as it went through, I mean, I'm pretty sure I got like 3 sales in my first month, and I was trying to build my network, right? And I was like talking to everyone and anyone, and but anyways.
What was the product? What was the $1,000?
So QNet provided products from trips to. They had this pendant that helped with energy and stability.
Oh yes.
And
very powerful stuff.
But I sold mainly trips because they're actually not bad. There's like $600 packages. You can go to Thailand. You can do like Singapore or USA, stuff like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. So there was value behind it. But anyways, so I started selling these, and I learned a lot there. That was my first time to get introduced to a script, right? Get introduced to all that. I was just, barely in high school and trying to understand that. But that was my first introduction to the hustle, right? I really want to make money. I want to do it and all that stuff. I was too young to understand the logistics behind it, but I did learn some stuff. But shortly afterwards, I was going out of high school. High school in Egypt is pretty fucking stressful.
Why is that?
So over there you get to choose between the Egyptian national system, the American system, or the British system. I was the Egyptian national system. Your whole high school, like 3 years, depend on one final exam. It doesn't matter what you did in the middle. Doesn't matter. And each exam is percentage, 100%, and then all the subjects get averaged out, right? So you pick a path. You're either mathematical sciences, biological sciences, or you're pretty much like the business side. So I was mathematical sciences, so engineering track. So I took dynamics, physics, like statics, solid geometry. Like I was taking stuff that here in the States is like year 2, like sophomore year, stuff like that, for 3 years, and then you get 16 subjects, 16 tests within 2-week bandwidth. And then the country's taking the test at the same time altogether. So my class nationwide is taking the test at the same exact minute. It starts and ends all together, so no cheating happens. And every year they change the exam. Obviously, every year they pick one.
What I hear that sounds like it'd be tough for me is you got to remember all the material you learned before.
Single thing.
Every semester for me, I would set it and forget it after the exam.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
But imagine a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds carrying the burden that, like, if I miss a mark, if I miss 1 point on this test, this could change my life. Because, for instance, my year, engineering was 96% and up, 96th percentile, right? Damn. So to make it to the tier 1 colleges, and that gets set. You're either making it or not. Med school was 101, meaning you had to ace all the tests and get the bonuses, right? So it's very stressful. So that's me. I'm the product of that.
And is that to guarantee going to school in other countries, basically?
No, that's to school in Egypt, like college in Egypt,
okay.
Just to get admitted into these what's it called, like tracks. Like if I'm going to mechanical engineering or engineering, that's 96th percentile. That's it. If I have 95, you can't pay to get in. You can in like some places, but like there's no way you get into like the ones that are actually accredited.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's stressful as fuck. Like you're like that's it. Like your whole career. So it was school in the morning. And then it was actually water polo practice, and then school, and then afterwards water polo practice or after hour school, which was private school over there was pretty heavy. So private tutors are loaded there. Like it would be packed, auditoriums.
Wow.
And you fight to get in there, and they don't give a fuck about your money that you're paying. If I show up without a homework, they'll kick you out. They'll call your parents, and they'll give them the money back. They'll be like, "Here's your money. We don't want him here." So you even hurt more, And people were fighting for spots on these. So, anyways, that's it. At 5, 6 a.m. all the way till 11 p.m. or midnight. That's like every day, all day. So that's what introduced me to the idea of I'm working all the time. Like,
just being on all the time.
I don't mind.
Turning off is just not an option at that point.
Exactly. So, and it actually gives me anxiety when I have nothing to do. So like, so from there, got the grades. I actually was 96.3 or something like that. So, and I remember, like, I made it to the German university there. There's a German university in Cairo, so my brother went, and then I got an offer to play water polo in Leeds, England, and my dad had a business opportunity to go to the States. At that point, my brother had moved to Lithuania for school as well, so my dad was like, everyone's somewhere. I don't like the idea of family being scattered. Let's just go together. I was like, fuck it, where are we going? He goes, Jacksonville, Florida. I was like, all right, let's go. Made it to Jacksonville, Florida. I get there. Okay, what college? How do colleges work here? College ranking. I want to be in a good school, all that stuff. So, walk into UNF. I'm like, hey, I want to go to college. They go, well, you have an SAT to take. I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's like a test where we test your English, your math, writing, reading, all that. I was like, all right, where can I take the test? So they're like, you got to schedule it on, I forgot the website name. But anyways, you got to schedule it here, this is that, you go to the center. So I went into my first SAT not seeing a single SAT before. I didn't know there was like prep courses and all that stuff. So I just went in. I remember it got like 780 on math, but then like 250 and 300 on English, some shit like that. Like I just absolutely like butchered it. And I was like, fuck, I really need to study to make it. So I studied and all that and barely made it, like 380, and the other one was like 430. So they put me in ENC 1101, right? And they're like, hey, you have to take this in order to get admitted because your score in English wasn't good. But that's kind of, went to UNF, then that's where my life, that's it. Like it really quick, July 2014, I want to say like July 1st, 2014, my dad was like, hey, we're going to the States July 20th. That's it. I had 20-day bandwidth to notice that my life is changing, like forever pretty much. I'm leaving, going like whole different country.
All your friends, everyone,
everything,
family, all gone.
Yeah. At that time, I was dating as well, someone else, and like, but so like it was a whole lift and shift. Everything I know, everything I've lived, all that, got to put it behind me. Got to learn something completely new. So, got accepted to college, made it, and then first year into UNF. Love UNF, go Ospreys, but
really exciting team.
I know, right? So like I was like, no, I want to be at a good school. So I started like applying. I started understanding how the school system works here. Completely different, like animal. So I started applying at other places. Applied to UF. Applied to MIT. Like I was like, dude, I got MIT skills. Like all these guys around me here. Like if this is school, like I'll crush it. So I actually got approved for MIT, but like tuition was like 60 something grand at that time, and that was no shot. We're like making that. So, but I ended up doing getting UF. I remember got the news like in the library. It was me and my whole class from the MEC-E. I was mechanical engineering at UF, electrical first, and then switched to mechanical. But we got the news. It was me and all the friends that I made at UNF. I was the only one that got accepted to UF. So like, then now I had to move from Jackson to UF, leave everyone I know behind, go again to like to another whole city, Gainesville, and all that stuff. And there I was like, okay, like I was first time away from family, truly first time away from everyone. Like that's it, I'm by myself. I'm living alone. Like it was a little bit of a step up. So I was like, okay, like how about I do this? At that time, my dad, I was blessed to have support financially through college. I'm not gonna lie and say like I had to work and all that. Like I had all that covered. So, so that was a blessing I had. But when I went to UF, I pretty much like I called him up one day and I was like, hey dude, like I don't want help anymore. Like let me, He's like, all right, what do you want? Like let's figure out something that it's achievable. Don't just like be dumb. So I was like, all right, I don't want any allowances. I don't want any like you don't pay my rent, don't pay anything. Like that's it. Like if you want to pay for school, that's fine. But just I'll do my thing. And I got my first job at a pawn shop. So I remember when I got my job, TB Goods, in Gainesville. So that was another endeavor.
Did you have some fun people in the pawn shop?
Dude, honestly, that was a really good pawn shop. I was like, because like owners were good. There was actually systems in place, tech, software. There was processes to do. But I started from getting electronics ready that were about to get put up for sale. right?
Get it ready.
Yeah.
Buffed up,
Yep.
cleaned up, working.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I like taking shit apart and putting it back together. So just
Love the Legos.
yeah, I love Legos. Yeah. So started there, and then after a while, I see these people like on the floor selling and making commission, and I was like, I can do that. So I asked my manager, I was like, hey, can you put me at the front? And then I got put at the front, started selling and all that. Kind of liked it. But it was to me, it was an auto mode period. Like that's it. Like I wake up, go to work, make money, go back, wake up, go to work, and then go to class. Like that was it. Like there was no fulfillment from it at all. It was just something there to fill a gap and make me self-sufficient and kind of understand how the world works. But yeah, so shortly from there, I was like, okay, I need to start finding something close to my field. I remember one time some guy walked into the pawn shop and he was like, talking to me and all that, and he's like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm a student at UF, I'm mechanical engineering, all this stuff. And he's like, well, I work for the FDOT, the State Materials Office. He's like, we're the cool part of the FDOT. We're the engineers that do the research and the testing and all that stuff. And I was like, that's awesome. He goes, are you looking for a job? I was like, always. Like, what are you talking about? So he's like, all right, here's my number. Shoot me a text after work, and I'll see if we have something. Shot him a text, and he goes, there's this professor. His name is James Fletcher. And James Fletcher was a professor at UNF that I left UNF because I heard his thermodynamics class was one of the hardest, and he had a 20% pass rate. And so I was like trying to get my AA real quick and just transfer before I have to take that class type thing. And so I was like, fuck, Jim Fletcher. Like, so I was like, okay, I'll hit him up. I texted him. He goes, I have a presentation at UF about what the FDOT is doing and the positions that are available. Show up. So I went, printed a resume, like, kind of prepared a little bit, just knowing, like, whenever I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm always going to look up everything they do. So I opened some research he's done, opened something, like, whenever I went into any interview, I read on the business, understand what conversation I'm going to, and go there. Yeah. What I realized from that is that when I went there, I realized that like, people don't do that. Like, people don't prepare enough. And I'll come to that back later in a little bit, but prepare favors the success, or success favors the prepared. Sorry. So prepared, went there. He did his whole spiel on stage. Afterwards, everyone went up to them, asked questions, what did he do, and all that stuff. I walked up to him. I was like, Jim Fletcher. And he goes, yeah. I was like, well, I actually almost became your student. I left because I heard how hard your class was, but I met Noor, and he gave me your phone number and your contact. He told me to meet you here. It was regarding possibility for any, fellowship or position in the research you're doing, all that stuff. And here's my resume. This is that. And he looked at me. He goes, "You're the only one that came with a resume tonight." I was like, "Well, what's the reason for this then?" He goes, "Like, well, it was supposed to be introductory and all that, but I love that you're prepared and all that stuff." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know what I do?" I was like, "Yeah." So you worked on this research for fuel cells. You do this. You did this. You did that. He's like, "And you're the only one that knows what I've worked on." He goes, "I'll give you a call." Gave me a call. Called me in for an interview. I walked in. When I walked in, he goes, "I did my research on you." So, and he started asking professors that I was with at UNF before, and they pretty much told him "Oh yeah, he was an A student," because I left UNF with a 3.96 GPA. Okay. So I was on the dean's list every semester. So he's like, "I did my due diligence. Also, you're an athlete. Also, this, that. Like, you have on paper, you have all the skills that you need. What I want to know is, can you actually articulate all that to people?" And that was my first introduction to the hard skills versus soft skills, right? And that was my first time, getting explained that, which is, hard skills don't matter. I can teach you to do 1 + 1 = 2. I can teach you to look at a formula and do this. I can teach you to look at a software and do this, and so on. But I can't teach you how to articulate this in words or on paper. So this is what we're going to be working on. So, and he used to crush me on deliverables. Every quarter I had to write up a report, and he would, without even looking at it, he would hold it and he would do like this. And then he goes, "Too many papers, make it less." And so he's also the person that taught me that less is more, right? He's like, no matter whatever you write down, you're going to take that paragraph and you're going to find out a way to make that as short as possible. Anyway, so Jim Fletcher, genius. Took me in, taught me a lot. This is where I started. I was a research assistant for the FDOT, technically contracted through UF with them. And Yeah, learned a lot. We built simulators for the DOT. We built, quality systems, quality processes. Uh, we had pretty cool tech, and throughout that process, I ended up building software that monitors machine health and predicts failures. So there's a lot of hydraulics on it, a lot of sensors, all that stuff. So I put together something from my experience in mechanical engineering, my experience being out on the field, like in my past with my dad, and the hobbies I have with cars and all that, and how I love like how mechanics works and all that. So ended up putting that together, and it became a thing for the DOT, where they actually use this to predict how each formula of asphalt or concrete will react in a span of in the next 10 years, and they can get that test done in 3 years.
Hmm.
That was my first, pretty much like accomplishment. So started doing this a lot more, started working on other stuff, lasers, all that, and it quickly, to me, got boring because I started dealing with less people and more just staring at paper and words and stuff like that. And I wanted, I'm a very social, I feed off of
Which
energy.
that sounds like that's probably like the normal desire for people in those roles is to not talk to other people.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Majority of people like that in
Yeah.
that world.
Everyone I worked with like
Yeah.
that. And it was a great place to work, but it was a death valley. Like you just walk in, everyone is there to retire. Like no one's there to grow, like or thrive. So, and shortly afterwards, I had a friend of mine. His dad worked at a software company, and he hits me up and he goes, "Do you know anyone at computer science?" And I was like, "Yeah." He had a lot of buddies. He goes, "Well, here's a job description. This is a position we're trying to fill. Let me see if I can, tell me if you know anyone that can, fill this position or would be a candidate." So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." I took the job description. It was a solutions engineer position at TIPCO Software, and I was like, "Dude, I can do that. Like, this seems easy. The solutions engineer job is, it's a pre-sales department. So it's the, like before the commercial of the sale, it's the engineer that gets involved to sell the technical. So my job was to sell them the idea, or not the idea, but sell them the fact that this is the solution that works for their pain, for their business challenge, and this is the value behind it, and this is how we're going to achieve it. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So went there, all my years of engineering and consulting got thrown in the trash because I'm switching fields, so mechanical engineering to software. So I kind of restarted the clock again from scratch. So went from a senior back to an associate. Quickly got the reins of it. Within 6 months, I was performing very normal, like anyone there that's been there for years. I was lucky to have really, really great mentors and bosses there. And to your idea of people leave leaders in our companies, right? And the idea that the role of a leader is very important. This is where I saw it with Jim Fletcher. I was lucky to see it at TIPCO and at Salesforce too afterwards. But I got to see really, really good leadership in my path. Only one wasn't, but other than that, I learned a lot from this. Slowly ramped up into enterprise, so I was working big accounts, big names, big billion up companies. I was shortly consulting within the data engineering side of things, so just the architecture of integration and data management. Got really good at it. We got involved a lot with Formula One, Mercedes Formula One, stuff like that too. But anyway, so shortly after that, climbed up, got a promotion too. I was one of the fastest promotions there as well. The game of corporate is actually not that hard. Like, there's a way to do it, and if you do it right, people don't monetize on the work they do. If you execute good on something and monetize on it right away, you probably get something out of it. People execute on stuff and wait around to see if someone else is gonna notice it. So I just, whenever I executed on something, whenever I got a win, I made sure I monetized on it. Rishi, Kinshuk, there's a lot of great minds there. But my boss at the end was Kinshuk. He was crucial to a lot of the things I was learning. And at that point in corporate, you can, if you climb fast, you reach a cap fast. And this is your pivot point. This is where you need to, the only way to, we talk about leaps. The only way to leap is to switch companies. So I reached my cap real quick within a couple of years there, 2.5 years or so, and then I started like kind of looking around. When I did, I found out that there was a lot more opportunities and a lot of places that I can weigh in, especially in the software like landscape. When you get up in these like level of companies and these revenues, there's a lot of gaps and there's a lot of competitors, and anyone would love to take you. So so real quick found out a path to be able to go somewhere else. Applied, got some people asked about me, got some good feedback, interviewed, yada yada, all that stuff, and went to Salesforce MuleSoft. So it's like Salesforce acquired a company called MuleSoft that does all the backend integrations. So if you apply for a credit card, right, there's 10,000 things happening on the backend they don't see. They're gathering data from core banking systems, from creditors, from so many places, bringing it all in one place, making decisions, and then opening accounts, doing all that. So the orchestration of all that was pretty much my bread and butter. So I started working in fintech side, so financial services and technology. So banks like Bank of America, all that stuff. From there, learned a lot. This is where there's actually a lot of sales that I've learned in my MuleSoft path, and a lot of leadership and recruitment that I got exposed to. Because when I went to there, I was a senior solutions engineer. I had a great leader as well, Naveen, and he was very adamant on exposing me to the business rather than the daily tasks and all that stuff. So I learned a lot from there, and he always outworked everyone, and that was my first exposure to a leader that always outworks their people. It's so important. He and like you, like if someone needs to do something and it wasn't done, he's just gonna do it, right? And this is also that was a nugget that I got from there. So it was one of these things where we see it a lot. People wait around for something to get done just because it's not their task. Yeah, you just gotta pick it up and do it, type thing. So it was a really, really good environment there to work of. My team was all high performers, and that was my first exposure to like, oh shit, we're like the top team, like we're the revenue bringers, we're this. So like I was always like, I gotta perform. Like everyone's like, everyone's doing like $2, $3, $4 million sales, like stuff like that. And I was like, oh shit, like I need to bring revenue, right? So had a dashboard every day. I look at it. Okay, where I'm at. Oh, okay, I need to do more. Like I need to be here. I need to do that. So KPIs was insane there too. Like they tracked everything on a very, very high level. You gotta enter everything. Gotta be good data and all that stuff. There's reports that come up every month, every quarter, like reviews, all that stuff. So that was at that point. Now the introduction of solar happened where I was right before I switched to Salesforce. Pretty much I was moving from Georgia to Florida, and because I was in Atlanta for a little bit, and when I was moving back, I got introduced to a real estate agent, and he was like, yeah dude, you're an engineer, this is that, like dude, I started selling solar, do you know anything about solar? I was like, dude, I know a lot about solar. And then he's like, yeah, it's good, it's great. I was like, oh, awesome, good, yeah, awesome. And then one day one guy knocked on my door, so I was door knocker for solar, and I was like, yeah, what's up? And he started talking to me, and I was like, oh shit, solar, I'll talk about solar. So I just started geeking, like, oh, solar. I had no idea he was like selling it. I just started like nerding out, and he had no idea about anything technical, obviously, right? Yep. So I was too deep in the weeds with him, and but that when he left me, I was like, this guy didn't give me a single piece of information, like that I really was interested in. Like, how are these guys selling? Like, if I do this, I'll do a way better job. It was just like a mental note. And my real estate agent calls me the other day, or a few days afterwards, and we were talking about what we were doing and all that. And I was like, dude, some guy knocked on my door. And he's like, oh, what company was he with? This is that. Like, well, if you have his number, like, give it to me. Like, I would love to recruit him and all that. I was like, hey man, like, how much do you guys do? Like, and he goes, well, yeah, maybe like 6,000 in sales. I was like, 6,000 in fucking sale? I was like, dude, I can do this. I was like, okay, so every weekend I'm gonna come out with you, and we're going to knock doors. We're going to, I'm gonna try to learn it. So
the I can do this attitude across the board.
Yeah. So like it's
shit opportunity. I got this.
Yeah. It's literally and the the more opportunities you expose yourself to, the more you're gonna learn. Like there's no other way.
Yeah.
Learning is by experience. Like you can read it all you want, but until you apply it, you get these people that say like, oh, I learned by application. Like, okay, then go apply. Like, so I was like, all right, let's go out on the weekends. And he was with Legacy. So that's where I started. So there's that time, Michael Graham, Nick Martinez, and them, and it was the San Augustine office. And it was a small good group, good guys. It wasn't high performance like we do now, but to me, like, it was like, oh, I can do 3-4 sales a month, like, make like $4,000-$5,000 side of my salary. This is awesome. So that became my play money, you know. So it became that, okay, I'm just gonna do this on the weekend. I'm gonna perform fine in my other job, and then on the weekend I'll come out and, you know, do a little bit of extra money and, you know, buy my toys, and this is gonna be my investment money, toy money, and all that, and, you know, the essentials are from my W-2. Did it that way for.
By the way, we're like the exact inverse. I just went bar manager, bartender, very, very poor systems, sales, selling, leading, and then like I inversely turned into tech, systems, software, data, understanding its integral role in the growth. So we have like very opposite paths in life that all connected somehow in the end.
Yeah, no, it's but you'll see, like they're
required.
They're required.
They go together.
Yes, yeah. So it's I didn't realize that, but yeah. So
here's what I'm curious about before you keep going. So I want to just go back for a second. One thing you told me when I got the cold plunge at my place, you're like, my dad every single day, he goes like religiously cold plunge sauna. He fasts, I think you said 2 days a week. Yeah. And you're exposed to this routine, and you were exposed to him as an entrepreneur going through the ups and the downs. And I went through that with my dad too. Like, we went from, you know, business to business, different businesses, right? At one point, my parents owned like a painting company. At one point, he, you know, was doing a debt consolidation. Like, it just pivoted. A magazine company for diabetes. Like, just different businesses all the time. And, you know, some worked, some didn't. And I saw like some success, some sustained success, having money, having access to money, having money to put in the gas tank. Yeah. Right. And I'd get those 20s. Right. So it'd be like money was flowing. I could just grab those. We're good to go. Yeah. And then I'd see the opposite. You know, economy change, shift is in policy, shut down the business, and I've seen those ups and downs, and I've seen the stress it put on my parents growing up and what that was like. And so it's interesting. You saw that too, and yet somehow we both pursued a life of high stress.
We just learned to live in chaos, like not in chaos, but like we learned to like manipulate chaos. I would say that's the way to do it. Like just manipulate chaos to get the best out of it. So.
And I want to go back though. So what did you think growing up about your dad's routine, and what did he share with you about his journey as, you know, running business as an entrepreneur as well? And what did you learn from that?
Discipline and ethics. He had discipline in everything. He also he's a very religious man, and like he's up in the AM. He's up before the sun. He has to be up before the sun. That's his thing. So before, like, you know, kind of he's a dusk to dawn type man. That's how he gauges his day. You know, if the sun went up before him, he's late. So never in my whole entire life have I ever seen him not wake up like before sun. Like it. So
respect.
And then on your point of the routine, like when we got money, one of the first things he did was put in a sauna in the house and a pool.
I love it though. He's like his capital. The first thing he wants to do is how do I optimize and feel better and do better myself. Like that's I think that's a good target.
Yeah, he was one of the kind of like Jeff Mendes, where like I want to create somewhere where my kids would love to be in.
My ecosystem.
That's what he wanted to make sure that everything was available at home. So we would love to be at home.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
totally.
Yeah. So, so he put in a sauna right away, put in a pool, and he refused to get a pool heater, and he always dumped cold water in the pool. He's like, if you need to go in the pool, it's cold. It needs to be cold. It's good for you. Like, that's it. So like, I had to learn to
cold plunging was not cool back in the day.
I know.
That's like relatively new, cool stuff.
I know.
No one was talking about cold plunging.
I was like, I remember that was 2010 when
no one was talking about it being good.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember what 2009 he started building it. 2010 was when we like it was a ritual, like sauna, jump in the cold pool, sauna, jump in the cold pool. It's his thing. That's it. And then Monday and Thursday he fasts. And
Did you say why
real
he does
fast.
all those?
So, two things. So the fasting side, there's a religious aspect, there's a health aspect, and there's a let's call it a spiritual aspect, a health aspect, and a mental aspect. The fasting side is not just on the food. It's food, water, energy. Meaning you're not going to get mad at people, right? You're not going to curse at people. You're not going to do something bad, like ethics wise. No bad, all good deeds. You're not going to revert to anything that's bad for your health, like no smoking, no nothing, like. So, and then also it's the aspect of learning to understand how other people might be in this situation forcefully, like not like they don't have money to eat, they don't have money to drink,
Interesting.
right? So it keeps him grounded from that side. So these are kind of the three things. So if you learn to discipline yourself twice a week, away from the wants, right? It'll make you able to be disciplined in the needs. So that's the whole idea. So dusk to dawn, no food, no water, no medicine, nothing. If he needs medicine, don't fast. That's it. So and then no yelling, no anger. That's also part of it. Like
That's like a
yes,
more complete fast.
if it's about to take him off, conversation's done. We'll have it later. So like that's used to frustrate me as a kid. Like at least tell me no. Like just
Yeah.
like, he's like we'll talk later, like type thing. So, but one thing I saw him do through that is that he was always the man that are like no is a no, even if the no is wrong afterwards, he has to stick to his word. He never changes his word. Like even on big fucking decisions, like we're having a big family trip, and something happened, and like no, right? And then like this worked out, so like we can easily turn this into a yes. We made a decision. It's no, done. Like there's no going back on your word. So every time, everything like, but dad, like and he's like, that's it. We made a decision. We have to live with. Like if you make a decision, you have to live with it. So
That's to the extreme.
yes. No, that's the part too that I want to get. Like, of course, there was some extreme, like, as part of it where, as much as he was like this, the part that we lacked was communication. So, like, that's also a part where, like, he was always drowned in work and all that. But one thing he did good is that he could be drowned and not there, but whenever he was there for something family, like, to do, like, trips or anything like that, he's there. And that's another thing, too. Like, that's something I currently struggle with a little bit, or I need to do, but that's it. If he's there with the family, he's there with the family. But when he's gone type thing.
Yeah.
So it's he did good at that, and I appreciated that. But
Seeing that routine though, growing up, did that inspire you to have any routine of your own, or not really? It was
Yes.
just that you weren't at that stage.
I had that routine. So my routine was pretty simple. So like the 6 a.m. practice, everything was time. There was a 6 o'clock bus. I gotta walk to that bus stop. I wait for the bus. Like if I don't stick to routine, everything gets thrown off. Like, so that's also another aspect. Is like the environment I was in required routine. Like every single day, the bus shows up at this exact minute. Every single day, this bus leaves at this exact minute. Like all that. So I had to catch everything exactly at the time. And if there was no room to change anything around because I was always packed. So the routine came from a scheduling perspective, or from like the day-to-day activity perspective, but from the part of I gotta stick to something I started. That's what I learned. Like whenever he started something or journey or anything like that, he always saw it to the end.
Yeah.
Like either success or failure, he saw it to the end.
That's rare.
And that's what I've learned, which is like QNets and all that.
Yeah, that brought me to the next thing I was gonna ask is what are some of the guiding principles it could have been, bestowed on you from what you've seen with your dad.
Yep.
And how he operated, or just something you've picked up. But what are some guiding principles? Because from my perspective, right, like I think why we align super well is just you have super high integrity, you have good ethics, you don't lie about anything, you're very straightforward, you work nonstop, right? There's no excuses. Like if it must be done, it's going to get done. It's going to get done by me, even sometimes to a fault, right? So I've got to figure out how to delegate.
Yeah.
But you just go, 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 which I fuck with people that are go, 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 because that's what it takes to do something great. That's what it takes to have huge wins. That's what it takes to go through massive failures. You got to keep pushing through it at a high pace.
Yep.
Otherwise it'll bog you down. But what are some of the things that have led to you currently as far as in your guiding principles and how you operate?
If it comes fast, it goes fast. If it comes easy, it goes easy. These are like very, very important things I live by. I don't get upset about something that I got fast and lost fast. Right? Yeah. I only get upset about it if I like worked so fucking hard. But that's one thing. Like if it comes easy, it goes easy. Another thing is that there's always a way to do it ethically. If that makes sense, and you have to do that.
Yes.
Because one way or another, it's gonna come back. So that's one thing that I like to kind of stick with. I saw him walk away from like a lot of money for ethics purposes, and I didn't understand it until later on, where like I was like, yeah, it would have been it could have crumbled, So that's one thing as well. Another thing is that I always believe in the idea that if it's been done before, I could do it. So I fully believe, and not to disrespect people that are like really good at what they do, but if I watch you do something, I'll fucking do it. Like I just need to watch you once, maybe twice. That's it. So these would be kind of my guiding principles. I tell this to this is every single interview I've been in. Like when they ask me like, what is your thing? My thing is that if it's been done, I can do it. That's it.
Yeah.
If there's if there's information about it outside, not step-by-step guide. Like it's not like I'm gonna watch a YouTube video on how to, right? No, but like if there's information on how it works and how it operates,
You'll deconstruct and figure it out.
Exactly. So that's my main thing. So do that, do it with ethics, give it your all, and just be good to people. I try my best to. I know there is the aspect of, there's two school of thoughts that treat people how, you want to be treated, and they treat people how they want to be treated, right? To me, I can split this into two. I'll treat people how I want to be treated from a perspective of being kind, understanding, giving, sharing. That part, I have to do it because, to me, if I keep doing that, at some point, if I need it, then someone, hopefully I'm in a position where I've provided it for someone before, right? And the world gives back. So just stay giving. It's okay to share the pot.
Yeah.
Don't nickel and dime people. Don't count your steps. Don't be like I did this.
It's hard to work. It's hard to work with people that operate that way. It's like usually from like a point of leverage.
Yeah.
Everything they do, it's expecting something back.
Yep.
And then again, the nickel and diming. That's something I was talking to someone very closely with, and he just brought up like leverage is just not allowed. If someone wants to leverage, well, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there. I'm going to, like, if anyone throws in leverage, get rid of them immediately.
Yeah.
Like, don't play with leverage, high leverage individuals. Those are the most toxic people in the workplace. Yep. So, yeah, you're pretty much the opposite of that, right? Just give. And then naturally the world rewards those people the most. And it's like earned through trust and earned through real, like, results and real work.
Yep. So, here's what it is. It's okay. Like I live way better knowing that, even I said a nice word to someone, rather than just a no, or like instead of just saying bye. Like
I think you're better at that than me.
I mean, sometimes I guess, but I try. But yeah, so
you help bridge the gap for me on that.
I know, but it's I don't think it's as hard as it sometimes seems.
Mm-hmm.
I think people can find beauty in being just be nice. No need to like. So that's all. At the end of the day, each one has their tolerance.
Yeah.
And I've learned I grew my tolerance over years, and I was very aware of it, and I have a very high tolerance. That's all. Like it takes a lot to take me off.
Okay, and then apart from the guiding principles, what are some things you tried? And I guess they kind of do coincide with guiding principles. What are some things you try to avoid at all costs in the way you live?
Anything that just so.
Because it takes a lot to stay on your game all the time. It takes a lot. And there's also not just what you do, but what you don't do is super important.
Yes.
Part of staying on your game.
So, I would say that don't. If it's something that doesn't matter, if it's something that, obviously when you drill down to the details, sometimes we fall into the mistake of working on something that's could not matter. We try to avoid them. But
It's like that philosophy of if you have the wrong problem, even if you get the right answer,
yes,
it doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't
You just
matter.
wasted your time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You want the right problem with the right answer.
The right problem with the right answer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that quadrant.
Yes. So it's one of these things where, okay, if we break it down that close, this is what I aim for, but in a high level sense, just where I'm at right now, where I get a million tasks in my day or a million prompts or queries from people, anything like that, I have to work on just two things. I give priority to, people that give their time to me.
Yeah.
So depends on how much time and effort you're putting into this is how much you're gonna find or my response quicker and more thorough.
Yeah, you kind of have to do it that way.
Exactly, because otherwise, like, if you look at it from a rep perspective, I have it's Eric Fox, right? Eric Fox, he's Eric Fox. So
Love you, Eric.
Yeah, love you, Eric.
Top producer of the month, killing it.
Yeah, he's at home. He's doing this or that. Needs help with something, and I have 3 people calling me at the same time, and Eric's one of them. Undone. The sad part is that I'm gonna answer Eric for someone that shows up every other month.
Yeah.
And they only show up in the bad. They don't show up in the good. And probably the answer they want is in one of the videos I have, training videos. They can go watch. So it's one of these things where, okay, I'm gonna have to, give my effort to things that matter, but also knowing the mission. Something you do really good with laying the mission and the vision clear for this. And I have a mission and I have a vision. That's it. That's all I need. So when I wake up, first thought is, what do I have? What's on the docket today? We have the checklists. We chat through them every day. I wake up. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Look at my calendar. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 meetings. So anything outside that, I don't fucking worry about it. Dude, my roof was leaking for fucking, and we do solar and roofing, and I didn't know. This is how bad it is. Go back from Michigan, and I was like, what's going on here? And I called my crew. I was like, dude, come over. So, don't do that. Be present, but
It's okay. It'll be solved.
Yeah, it'll be solved. It's one of these things. It'll be solved. There's a fix for it. You can throw money at it.
Yeah,
that's it. But the stuff that you can't throw money at it, that's what you need to, pay attention to. So I wake up. I have a mission, vision. I have an alignment. I know my task. I know my goal. I know what I'm working towards. A lot of people are working towards nothing. And that's the problem. In the last training I was talking about, do you wake up? Do you have the goal for the day, goal for the week? I'm not going to tell you to plan out a year. I know we don't do 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I don't have that. But I know what I have this week to do. And these tasks correlate to the goal. That's it. And then also another thing is that I gotta get these tasks done as soon as possible, and my deadline is now. Deadline is always now. So
that brings to success loves speed, and I think that statement's overstated and not explained well enough. And the way I would explain that, and it's also the way, by the way, and you've done an excellent job at this. It's what I kind of do, and I've mentioned it before, but when you're given feedback, when you're giving a task on what to execute, you're given an action list. When you're given something you've even asked for, right? Maybe you're asking for advice from someone you look up to, someone you admire, someone you want to be more like. Mm-hmm. Your mission is to grab that information, execute as quickly as possible, and report back.
Yep.
That is how you're going to build trust in a relationship. That's how you build a true relationship, right? Because now it's a mutual relationship. And how you can get really close with very high-level people.
Yes.
It's how I've gotten close with all the highest level people in the world that I'm close to today.
Yep.
And it doesn't take much more than that because very few people will do that.
Yep.
Like it's that simple. Most people will show up to the seminar. A lot of people will show up to the event.
Yep.
A lot of people will ask for the advice at all different stages, but very few will grab that, write it down, and go execute.
Yes.
And then report back. And if you just can follow that rubric, which obviously that's why we've gotten so close, because I was like, oh shit, I can add him this. Same thing with Grav.
Yeah.
Right? I gave him this assignment. I gave him that. Now I gave him less instructions on how to do it and just more of what to do. Okay, now you can actually problem solve and execute. So then you start to see, okay, this person has more in their head than most. This is someone I want to play fucking ball with. This is someone I can run with.
Yeah.
And, going on your list and going through what you're going to execute on every day and reporting back is all part of that equation.
1000%. So I see now with my team, whether on the sales side or on the operations side, a lot of times we give out tasks, and when let's say, a lot of people think that, okay, I'm going to go do it. The reporting back part is so crucial because it gives me a time.
It goes all the way back to what you said earlier, which was you're able to monetize on the things you executed on because you actually made people aware of what's happened. Because for me, I'm so damn busy and things are happening so much in my head. If someone doesn't tell me what's going on, I don't know what has happened in some cases.
Yeah,
and that's across the board for people.
And people don't know that and don't acknowledge, like they don't acknowledge that it's, or maybe they don't realize because in their bubble, that's fine, I did the task. That's not a problem. But like what they don't know is that these are among so many tasks to you, for instance, right? Where you need the feedback. Otherwise, you don't know if it's done and you don't know if it's done right.
Yeah.
But also, it gives your leader the opportunity to see which tasks you executed on quicker and better, so then we can utilize your skills in the right direction.
Play to the strengths.
Exactly. So it's like it's data. We need the data.
And then when in the inverse too, when you give someone an objective or a task and then you have to remind them again, it makes the likelihood of someone like me wanting to put more responsibility or see a future, I will limit their future vision in my head.
Yep.
Like the vision I have for them will go from here to like, okay, didn't execute, how to remind. Okay, now they executed. Okay, now how to remind again, right? Like that all of a sudden, like you're putting limits on yourself by being that person. Because if someone's giving you something to execute on, they believe you can do it. And then they'll gradually increase what that is. And usually there's an opportunity for that. And step by step, all of a sudden you can create a behemoth of yourself like myself, I had no idea of. And now I'm like, holy crap, this is an amazing person I get to work with for all these reasons. And the inverse is super true too, where it's like, dude, I can't even give you stuff because I can do all these things myself. Like I truly can. I can do all of them myself. But I was hoping that you would step up to the plate, and now I realize you're not that guy.
Yes.
And I won't say anything, but I've just realized you're not that guy.
Yes. That's all people like. Forget about that. It's that you're not that guy in tasks. Like it happens every day.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. So, no, 1000% agree.
And so, we got through some guiding principles, which I think are super valuable. And we got some things you try to avoid. What is the most exciting thing for you right now with what we're doing within your life? Like, what's fueling you the most today? Because it takes, I'll say it again, but you got to remember. Hope in the future, power in the present.
Yes.
And if you got a lot of hope in the future, you got a lot of power in the present. It can get you through a lot of things, a lot of speed bumps, a lot of challenges. But what's fueling you the most today?
Depends on how much we can share.
Minimal scope.
Minimal scope, okay.
Medium scope at most.
Okay, so, well, number one, Spartan Solar as a platform right now. And I say platform because it is a business in a box, right? So with what we've created as a, one place, every state, every installer, all in one, tech involved, high visibility, high autonomy. There's a lot of challenges with that, and through that work, every day I get exposed to new stuff. There's a lot of factors here. There's the customer, and there's the second customer, which is the rep. There's the installer. There's the lender. There's, and so on. I personally love figuring out more and more about these processes every day, and every day there's something. So I'm always excited about something new or some sort of fire I'm going to put out today, because it's going to teach me something. But I'm also excited about where we're heading towards, right? What we're doing.
Yep.
I know pretty soon we're gonna be like, launching some stuff, and this is the most exciting part to me right now, because we are working on some high level systems. To me, the industry is lacking a lot of proper business process flow,
Yep.
right? You can easily avoid a lot of this shit that, put Titan under, and, now
All
Lumia's
these-
going under. Like,
yeah.
all these companies that went out in this last year was it's a butcher. It was like a death valley for a lot of solar companies. And but when you go look, you're gonna find a common cause. And common cause is high overhead. Uh, just placing people that don't really excel in this place, but they're just filling out a role because they kind of know how to do that. So just not having A players in the departments
Right.
that they're executing on and stuff like that. So it excites me where we can work on stuff to put in these systems and put in the guardrails. Like every time we talk to a company now, and we're like, all right, by the way, here's a sneak peek of what we have in the back. Everyone's like, holy shit! Like, I can use this even as an installer. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like, how did you do that? Wait, do you have devs in house? Do you like? So it excites me every day to showcase what we worked on, and build more. So having a system that guarantees the, proper customer success, the proper customer experience, the proper experience, and then we have a lot of hiccups in the industry right now, and a lot of gaps from lending, delays and all
Yeah.
that stuff, that we can, put something in place to maneuver around. And this is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like what I'm hearing is same with me. Is like there's such a gap between what currently is, what exists, and what can be.
Yep.
And it's clear, and
How we can
create systems
close that
and tech
gap.
around it. And the bigger the gap, the bigger the opportunity. So I'm super excited about that same thing.
yeah.
Lastly, Ali, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone that's just getting their career started, or maybe they're even, I guess, two pieces. They're just getting their career started in sales,
Okay.
or B, they're a leader of a team and they want to become a much bigger team. Like they want to become more effective as a leader and they want to build their team further. What are some systems, or what would you advice you'd give for each party?
So,
Just getting started in sales.
okay, just getting started in sales. Number one, learn the script. There's a script somewhere. If your company doesn't have a script, I mean, there's some top producer that has a script. You gotta latch onto a script first.
Yep.
And a process. If you cannot write down your process of your close of your sale, and understand that every single sale you're gonna have to replicate something exactly the same. You're gonna have to stick within this line. Yeah, we can go segue, depends on the customer, depends on whatever it is, the sale or the business or so on. Make sure you know three things. I learned it's called MEDIC, right? It's like a sales theory. It's like you got to know in every sale who the economic buyer is, what the pain is. Like just look up MEDIC. Like it's if you don't know who's the decision maker, who's the economic buyer, where's the pain, you got to build on the pain, and then what solution you have. If you can't articulate this in a very 3-5-year-old approach, you can't start excelling in the sales side. So focus on that side. Now, as you're transitioning in any sales role, the path to growth is to lead. And in order to lead, you got to lead by example. So stop trying to lead before you're an example.
Yeah.
Right? I see this a lot. People are trying to lead before they excel, because most probably if you're excelling, people will follow.
The leading's
And
kinda
leading
it's just
happens.
inherently done.
Exactly.
There's some cases where even though you're excelling in production, you're still not a good leader, right?
Yes.
but usually this lends a pretty big helping hand.
Yes. So, which brings me to another side. Like if you're trying to lead, right, not just as a sales rep, you're gonna have to come to terms with being okay to share the pot. Being okay to I hate when managers go help sales reps in closes and try to split a deal. To me, that is insane, right?
Yeah, I agree.
we were talking to someone earlier, and he was thinking, just because I manage someone's pipeline, I'm going to take it. No, dude, just manage someone's pipeline. Like, Don't nickel and dime them. So take that as a leader, take that completely away from your head. That the fact that you're not going to support your guys. When, if things are rocky with uncontrollables, the paid delays or whatever, step in, help. This is where you earn your override, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that you're giving before you're asking your guys. And then the ask is not an ask. It's a discipline. It's a standard that you set. A lot of times people ask way more before they give as a leader. And then the relationship starts to change into a different aspect where that's it. It's like a boss, right? So you gotta work with them as a team instead of just ask for shit. Just make sure you're giving them first.
Yeah.
And by giving doesn't mean incentivizing. Give them instructions. Give them training. Give them value. Give them a way to earn their money, and then ask them for the production. Then ask them for the numbers. Then ask them for all that. So that's another thing. Always keep learning and always prove to your people that you can do it, right? A lot of people just go into leadership, sit back and kick it, try to do that kind of the manipulation side of things. All right, I'm gonna play the puppet master. You do this, you do that. No, you gotta keep showing, why your value, why you're the leader. You have to keep, as a leader, you have to keep proving yourself over and over again. And dude, if it's not, it could sound egotistic, but if it's not in your blood to make sure that you're the best on the team, then why are you leading and not the guy that's best on your team, right? And then from another perspective, you really have to keep learning as well. So I see a lot of leaders that start doing something. Dexter right here. When we first started throwing down together, my pitch was something. My pitch right now is completely different. Even though it worked well then, I threw 30 deals a month then, with that pitch, but I'm not going to use that pitch again, even though I know I threw 30 deals a month then, because you have to keep evolving. If you stop evolving, the people will stop evolving with you. So you're asking people to change and evolve, and you're not changing and evolving, they're going to hit your cap. If you're here and they're growing into you,
Market evolves. You have to evolve.
Yeah. How are you if they grow into you, you got to give them more room to keep growing up. So that's another thing. So always have a piece of your mind focused on where you're growing and where your people growing into. Another thing, you have to have paths to success, and you have to paths to growth for these people, for your guys, for your team. Make sure they understand what's in it for them, the amount of effort for the journey that they're going with. Make sure they can go, they can make it, and for that, so that understands if 1, 2, 3, 4, all right, I'm going to go execute on 1, right? But if you're the rep and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you do 3, and you're going to, I did 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick and choose what you do to get there. Do it all. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to show value. So follow value. So if there's no dollars, show the value. But yeah, other than that, be kind to your people. Be good to them. Stop skimming. Stop. Instill belief. Instill trust. And always just have their back. Inside of work, you have to with your people. Distinguish between them. You have to have your leadership outside. We do a lot about your guys, about what their why is, what they're working towards. You have to know that. And then relationship inside of work. It's competitive to the max. You're challenging them. You're always
I don't know. You're very competitive. You gotta have that top spot.
We'll never leave. But
I appreciate it, man. Hope you guys got some value. Go ahead and share it. Make sure the world knows what's going on. Make sure the world can see. Let's blow it up, baby.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.